I thought she was laughing and a bit, she was crying, and I'm like, Tessa, I'm like, what are you doing, you creep? And then she's like, OD'd. I'm like, Tessa, what's happening? And then she's like, Carl OD'd.
On the Wednesday, Raf called me at about 8 o'clock and told me that Carl had overdosed and he probably wasn't going to make it.
I got a phone call from Tom, and he said that Carl had been in an accident. And so the way that I always worried about Carl, because he'd always ride his bike around Melbourne like really, really drunk. So I thought maybe he'd been hit by a car while like drunk or something. And I'm like, oh shit, Carl's been in an accident on his bike.
It was all pretty like worried, but also like really relaxed. Like it wasn't really a big deal because no one knew any details.
We had spent the whole day, me, Hayley, Ariel and Tessa had spent the day together. And we're all sitting at a park smoking, and bought these yellow sunglasses, and we're going to buy a pair for Carl when he got out of hospital.
And I called up his brother, and he said that he died. I just can't even describe it. It's just, oh my God. At that moment, my whole life was just put on standstill. I was so shocked, I just like screamed and cried, and Laura ran out of the room and I just chased her.
And I just wanted to keep running, but I couldn't, and then I ended up just falling between two cars and just crying and crying. And then Tessa and I ended up running down the street to this park and laying there.
It was really weird to see him, because like he was still breathing, but he was dead, and you know that he's dead, but like his body's still moving and there's still like fluid coming out of his eyes, and so it looks like he's crying and he's just sick, but he was dead.
Didn't know how to take it. Nothing like this has ever happened in my life. At the time I was just like, I didn't know how to react, and was pretty normal and pretty average about it, as if it's just something that happened. But as soon as I hung up the phone and thought about it, 10 seconds later I was just bawling.
This doesn't happen to like, it's not supposed to happen to like you, you always hear it from someone else. I couldn't say anything, like I just didn't know what to say, didn't know how to feel.
We were at the station, we had the goon bag, and we were like, forget it, we're just cracking open here, and I'm like, and I didn't want to get drunk, I wasn't in the mood, but he's like, we have to get drunk, and he got down next to the bin, and he put his arm around the rubbish bin, he's like, we gotta get so drunk, the bin's our best friend, and I was like, you're my best friend, and I was like, I think one of the hardest things coming to terms with, you know, how it doesn't feel like it's happened. One of the things that most made me come to terms with it is when I realised I'd never be able to scab a roller again. I know it sounds so stupid and shallow, but it's like, it's what we'd always do, and he'd always be like, oh, guys, so short, and he taught me how to roll with the rolling machine.
Carl used to hang out with Tom and I and Robin and Sam, and like every weekend we'd always see each other and get messed up and have fun. Sometimes Carl would come over to my house with the boys and we'd play Monopoly in the backyard, and that was fun. And me and Carl would always lose because we're shit at Monopoly.
He would say and do the most stupidest things after sex. He'd like say, remember at his birthday, right? And there was a list, an internet site going around that had all early 90s slang. And there was one that was all like, ooh, giddy up. Yeah. One time after sex, he's like, giddy up, bitch. And I was like, Carl, what the hell are you talking about?
We got on the stables and we were dancing, and he was just like dancing really wildly, and Tessa was like, Carl, you're gonna make this roof collapse. And he was just like, dun, 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 dun.
We used to get drunk all the time. That was like our main priority, to get drunk.
And this was from the flowers on his coffin.
I don't remember much of the funeral because I had taken some sleeping tablets to calm down. Couldn't sleep after Carl died because I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing his like the vision of him in the hospital and the way that he was in the bed. Couldn't eat. I forgot about eating all the time. I'd been depressed for a long time, and I eventually just started thinking to myself that if I had to go through life and keep losing the people that I cared about as time went by, and just keep losing them, that, I don't know, I just didn't want to feel that way anymore. I didn't want to keep losing people as I got older. I missed Carl. I ended up overdosing on my sleeping pills. I was in year 10 at school, and then I dropped about 10 kilos and over the summer holidays. 2004 I had about 8 hospital admissions. I spent from January to April in a psych unit. There was one point where I did try to take my own life. I most definitely starved myself to a much more intense degree during the period immediately after he died, because a lot of the reason I do refrain from eating as much as I should and purge is because of self-loathing and an incredible amount of guilt. And everybody had a guilt for something they think they'd done before Carl died.
I got into for about half a day that I could have saved him phase.
I think Tom had it worse because Tom was he was looking after a lot of people at the time, but at the same time he wanted to express how upset he was, and he wanted some attention for being upset because his friend died, and just like everyone else, he was giving other people attention, but he wasn't getting anything for himself.
So he pressed record and I looked at him and I said, "Carl, I love you." And he had his phone like this and he's gone, closed it and like walked away. It was my most beautiful moment with Carl, the last time I saw him.
I was on the phone to my mum for like 2 hours crying, and after I got off I was just so angry. Just so angry that he'd done it.
I was just screaming, crying for ages about how rude he was. I hate him so much. How can he do this to us? He doesn't understand. He didn't think about us at all.
Even when I was given the idea that he might have taken his own life, I was never angry at him. Whatever he did was his decision, and if he didn't do it, that's fucked.
Before all this happened, like, I'd only spoken to Risa maybe once and just said hello to her, and that was it, or maybe smiled at her on the bus. And, you know, now I love spending time with her and Tessa and Laura and Hayley, and I don't see them very often, but when I do enjoy it, and I'm glad that I know them. And I guess that maybe that's what Carl gave to me, a bunch of people who I like. It's true, when he said life is love, that's how he sees life, and I still can't always put it in the past tense.
Knowing him has changed me, but not that it's changed me more because he's died.
We were talking, and I said to him, I don't think I'm going to do that well, get a job. I don't think I'm going to do well once I finish high school. And then he just grabbed my hand. He's like, "Laura, shut up. You are going to do so well in life." And he just kept going. He just kept saying things that he had wanted to say to me that he couldn't have said. I keep thinking of that night, what he had said to me. It's just like, I'm going to do so well. I'm going to do the best I can for you because you told me I can do well, and I will do well for you.
He had such a passion for the people he loved. For the people he loved, he would do anything. He just wanted to see the people that he loved smile. And I think that was one of the craziest qualities about him.
Don't be scared. This isn't fair. But then it never is. To give without wanting. To feel but not care.